Now, you gave quite an impassioned speech in the final session where you hit out at the relative lack of green funding, the lack of long-term contracts which will support the financing of the green technology that the industry needs.
Yeah, my key point was that really to, let's say, highlight the cargo owners and buyers of maritime services, that is so important to get involved, and also to encourage other buyers to involve in the solutions in such a way that you can get an effective and green shift.
However, you also said there was good news when it comes to the possibilities.
Yeah, we can see that leading companies such as Equinor, Hydro, Heidelberg Cement, Felleskjøpet, they have company or corporate strategies where climate and environment is a key issue in the strategy, and therefore this will also lead to some focus on the logistic chain and transportation. So I'm optimistic because I see it's the industry leaders that are really doing this.
Now, Norway is recognized as an industry leader, but perhaps paradoxically, you've led the pack and you've made large investments in LNG infrastructure for ferries that are still in the pilot phase, and yet there are now new requirements demanding batteries or hydrogen, which potentially could, let's say, undermine this LNG investment and the local industry that was starting to build up.
Yeah, and I think this is a significant risk that we all have in the industry, that the politicians are not long-term thinking. So their thinking can change, sometimes very fast, and that is really bad for the business risk. So we have to tell the politicians over and over again, we need predictability to be able to invest. And we are ready to invest, but we need predictability. We cannot do large investments and then suddenly these investments are not worth anything because the rules of the game are changed over the night.
When you look at the scene, what do you find or think is the most interesting alternative fuel for deep sea shipping?
Well, if you have a fuel that is not scalable, then it is not worth anything for anybody or for the climate and the environment. So as of today, the only scalable green fuel we have is LNG. With respect to zero emission fuels, I can just, for a bit longer distances, I can only see hydrogen and variations of hydrogen, such as ammonia, that could come. But I also think in the future you will see more hybrid solution, not only battery hybrid solution, but maybe mixing different type of gases. So if you mix LNG with hydrogen, for instance, you get a better number with respect to CO2 reductions than if you don't do it. And you will see from our energy transition outlook, DNV GLs, there will be more emphasis on hybrid solutions in this one than in the last one. I think also more work shall be done in relation to the logistics. It is not good for the environment and it's not good for the business if you are sailing a ship full in one direction and empty in the other direction. So to come up with good solutions that make, let's say, the cargo balance, good. It's very interesting for the cargo owners, and it's interesting for the business and for the environment. So we should not only talk about fuels. Fuels is important, but there are also other measures, such as filling up the ships with cargo and finding good combination of cargo owners that can collaborate, etc.
That really was one of your key points, wasn't it? That we fixate on the technology,
Yeah.
but really you want to engage those cargo owners.
Yeah, because they are really sitting on the key for an effective green shift. So, and they are sitting on the money. They shall pay for if a ship owner does an investment, okay, he has to have some more revenues to justify that investment, and that revenue would come from companies buying maritime services, being transportation or other services. And to make an effective green shift, you need a business case. If you don't have the business case, then there will not be any effective green shift. And what the most important thing that the authorities can do is really to make these frameworks such as the markets for use of green technologies will evolve and develop. So I think that we in the Green Shipping Program in the future will put much more effort on that side. Because the ship owner, I mean, he can come up with the most wonderful green technology that is available. But if there is no customer that is willing to pay for the technology, I mean, he is shorter than when he started. So you need to get them on board from the very beginning.
And finally, as we sit here reflecting on day one of Riviera's Maritime Hybrid and Electric Conference, how have you found the day?
Well, I think it has been a lot of interesting presentations. You meet a lot of interesting people. And I am very glad that an initiative has been taken to establish something like this in Bergen. And I look forward to see what the follow-up is with respect to similar later conferences.